This is Hillbillies in the Bush, and today we found some horseshoe fungus. And that is horseshoe fungus, and you can see, let me pick her up here, the bottom side, there we go, is kind of solid. It's like velvet on the bottom side. You got your wood grains through there. And of course you got the horseshoe effect down in there. Maybe on these smaller ones you can see better. Now, seeing a guy saw this. We just picked this off of a tree. This stuff, it's been raining here the last few days, and this stuff is wet. I can't squeeze it, it's hard wood, or I'd show you that it is wet. What we're going to try and do is take a saw and saw this and throw a ferrocerium spark into it and see what happens. So, give me a minute to get her set up and we'll be back. I wanted to try something here. We've tried it before and it didn't quite work that well, and I found out what happened to it, what went wrong. This stuff right here is what's called horseshoe fungus. We find this mostly all the trees I've seen it on has been locust trees. This stuff is wet. We just picked it off a tree, and as you can tell, it is wet, very damp. Now the problem is, it's wet back here where it grows against a tree, but out here on the edge, it's still wet and damp, but it's not as wet and damp. So what I tried doing was cutting down through the middle of it. Well, the problem is it picked up a lot of this really soaking wet stuff, and like I say, it's been raining here and it picked up a lot of stuff, a lot of wetness, and the outside's a little bit drier. So what I'm going to try, we're going to shave off, we're going to saw some of this dust on here. Let me flatten my board out a little, and we're going to get some scrapings going. Now this is not chaga, it's not a tender fungus. Well, actually in my book it is a tender fungus. It's not called that. It's called horseshoe fungus. It is not chaga. You don't drink this for tea or anything else. But this grows a lot around here on, you'll see, we used to call these toadstools when I was a kid. And then I found out later it's called horseshoe fungus, go figure, but we always called them toadstools. I did not know this. I watched Dave Canterbury's video. Now Dave sawed down through his and somehow he got his to work. I tried that and it didn't work. And like I say, I believe what happened, I got back in here where it's at, back in here where the tree is, and it's a little bit wet back in there, but out here it does seem to be a little bit drier on this outer ring. So what I'm doing is just getting a little bit of scrapings going here. And I don't care if there's little chunks in there. We'll see if them chunks will fire up too. Okay, now let's get us a ferrocerium rod here. And we'll pile this up a little. We'll pile this stuff up. And like I say, this just come off a tree, guys. So it is within 20 minutes come off the tree. So let's throw some sparks in here and see what happens. The wind just blowed a little bit. I don't know if that should help me out there. I got one right down in there going, but I don't know. It may go and it may not. Let's watch it here. It's right down in there. Let me move some over to it. Maybe that'll put it out or make it go, one or the other. Maybe give it a little bit of fan. Yep, I think I put it out. Oh well, just try it again. Now let's just leave it alone and see what happens. We got one right there. There's one under there somewhere. There's a little one there, but it just went out. I think you guys can see that little bit of smoke coming right there. I'm going to wait till that builds up a little bit. But Dave, that is fascinating. I am very impressed, sir, that you found that. I have taken this horseshoe fungus and I've actually dried it. This stuff here, and I've dried it. And after it's dried, it'll take a ferrocerium rod or a spark pretty good. Now you can see there's a coal right there developing.
But the key is you gotta have a saw with you to get that dust.
Yeah, you gotta have a saw because you can see the coal. If I can get that up there without it dropping. The saw really works out good. A knife, it's scraping bigger chunks, which, I don't know, the dust is what seems to work really good. And it's hard to scrape. This stuff's really hard. It's hard to get scrapings off of it with a knife. You probably could, but you'll be a long time. You just seen how fast it was. I got all them little scrapings. But that works. I'm amazed. Now I'm going to crowd it a little bit. Let me set that back down there. I crowded it a little bit to see. Give it a little bit of wind. And see if we can't get that into a little bigger coal. But you can see it's working.
And yep. A bird's nest now. You just light it right now.
It grew into a really nice coal, and that's pretty sweet. And I'll tell you what, guys, if you needed a coal base for a bird's nest, right there it is. That is nice. Now, of course, you can take a ferrocerium rod, and if it's dry out, you can get, these leaves are all damp, but sometimes you can throw a ferrocerium rod on a leaf or something, and you might be able to get it to take off burning. But this right here will better your odds, because you can see, and once I fan this a little bit, you can see how big that coal is. Let me get her up here and blow it a little bit.
Pretty impressive.
Yes, it is, because this material is wet. Now, there's no doubt about it in my mind. I can put this stuff together, and it packs. Look at that. I can feel the wetness in that material. And that it'll take and spark like that and take off. That is impressive. Without a doubt. So, thanks for watching. Something to keep in mind is horseshoe fungus. And like I say, it grows all over the place down here. Here's a nice big one. Grows mostly on locust, what I've seen. Now, like I say, now once this dries, it'll be different. But right now, since we just popped this off a tree, you can, I mean, this stuff up here is real hard, real wet. You can even see the difference in the collar. But down in here will be dry, and it'll take a spark. So, thanks for watching. Till next time, we'll see y'all later.